All right, second skill. What we're going to do is we're going to do a combining of categories. So what I'm first going to do is I'm going to restore my database. So I go to restore original database. We do this whenever we're going to do a transformation, and I'm going to rename or combine categories. The variable I'm looking at here is work transport. So I'm going into work, I'm going to come here and click on work transport. And what I'm going to do is we usually never touch nulls. Nulls are nulls for a reason. It's because the person did not answer the question on how do they get to work. Probably because they're not working. So for bicycle and walked, we're going to call it, so what I'm asking you to do is a couple different things. We're going to combine some levels. So personal vehicle, we're not going to change. Work from home, we're not going to change. Walk or bike, we're going to combine into one level. And then all the other levels like BART, bus, motorcycle, other method, taxi, and trolley, we're going to call them other method. So I'm going to copy that right now, other method. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to place that in for all of these. So for bus, I'm just going to paste that in. I'm going to go to taxi and I'm going to paste that in. You might find it easier to do like a Control-All and then paste, a Control-All and a paste, Control-All and a paste, or Command, Control-All and a paste, Control-All and a paste. So I put other method in all of here. It might be hard to see. Let me try to shrink it a little bit, see if you can see it a little better. Sometimes it is a little bit tough because you do not see always what is inside of the boxes, but you have to kind of trust that it's there. So bike and walked are going to be combined. So I'm just going to type in bike or walk to work, do a Control-A, do a copy, and I'm going to paste that into bicycle. And what else is left? Personal vehicle is left as is. Worked at home is left as is. The rest of these all became other methods. And then I said, let's give this a new name. Let's call this work transport for levels. So I'm going to copy this. Make sure I copy it right. So I'm just going to grab it over here, do a copy, and paste it into here. You will see if you ever put a space, you will get in trouble. I don't know, it's not really showing up as a problem, but actually when you see a space, you will see that there's no, this thing unhighlights. There can be no spaces in here. I don't know if it tells you that originally, no spaces or periods. So you have to make sure there's no spaces. So I have this, I believe this is all right. I'm gonna create a new variable. Now I will say one of the common errors that happens is someone is not, it's very easy to do, but if you don't type these in exactly right, you can get yourself in trouble. Like say for instance, this was a lowercase o, then the computer would think this is a different level, a different word. It's not the same as other. So they have to be exact. So you might see sometimes when you make this variable, some things maybe you have a space in the front, that would mess it up. Even if you have a space on the back end, like say, you know, this whole thing is in here and I added a space here, that would mess things up. So you have to be very diligent. And that's why I think the best way to do it is to do a copy and paste into each cell. So like I highlight the entire cell with a Control-A and then I paste into each cell. Find that to be the best way. And this might, I think a lot of the things that we're doing at the beginning might seem, you know, challenging or like time consuming, but the beauty of this is once you create these new variables, you'll have them at your disposal for the rest of the year. So I don't usually get, you know, sometimes you have to do a little bit of work, but the benefit is you have it for the remainder of the semester. So I'm going to create the new variable. So I hit create new variable. And then what the problem is asking us to do is now it's going to ask us to filter age and employment status again, just like we did on the earlier prompt. So I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to filter employment status to employed. I don't need to hit create every time, but I usually just, it's a habit whenever I filter, I always kind of do the next level, and I always filter afterwards. Now I'm going to go 60 to 65. You could create it after each time too. You don't have to wait. Every time you move it, the computer does kind of hesitate for a second. So 60 to 65, I have this filtered. I make sure that all my filters are correct, 60 to 65 and employed. And then what it's asking us to do is create a relative frequency table for work transport, just like we did before. So I'm now going to do, but actually now I'm supposed to be creating this is an error on this. It's work transport for the new variable, 4 levels. So I'm going to find my new variable. So again, table, frequency table. Click on relative frequency to make it a relative frequency table. And then I'm going to type in work. And I see that I have my new variable work transport 4 levels. And I'll generate. And if I did it correctly, I should see that there are 4 levels. There is a null that's a 3rd level, 2.1%. It's a little strange, but this happens often in surveys that are given to the public. They don't always answer all the questions. 2% of the people did not answer the question for how they got to work. You might think, well, maybe they worked at home and they forgot to click on work at home. They could have. We don't actually know. Maybe they just, I don't know, they didn't like that question. But here we have the relative frequency table. We have the counts, and then we have the relative frequency. This is all in decimal format. But the question asked how many people had other method as a way to get to work, and it was 3.9%. So this is 0.39. We move the decimal again 2 places to the right. If you move it 2 places to the right, it is between the 3 and the 9, so it's 3.9%. So at the end of the day, we would type in 3.9%. All right, that is that.